Namaste everyone. Today's discussion topic is role of physical agents, particularly wind and water, and biotic agents, particularly birds, animals, insects, in dispersion of seed or in pollination. 71% of earth is water, while 29% is land, which consists of continents and the island. While water itself is not blue, water gives off blue light upon reflection. 96.5% of all the earth's water is contained within the ocean as a salt water, while the remaining 3.5% is fresh water, lakes and frozen water locked up in glaciers and the polar ice caps. Most of the land part is occupied with the vegetation. Vegetation can be natural and man-made. Natural vegetation include forest, grassland, tundra, desert, trees and plants, woodland, savannas, shrubs, herbs, trees, whose growth or propagation depends upon the pollination by pollinator, namely birds, animal, wind and water, who are responsible for the natural dispersion of seeds. Vegetation is defined as the growing plants. There are various types of vegetation in India: tropical evergreen rainforest, deciduous or monsoon type of forest, dry deciduous forest, tidal or the mangrove forest, semi-desert and desert vegetations. Pollination is the process of transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma, the two types of pollination found in flowering plants. Self-pollination that occurs within the same plant. Cross-pollination that occurs between two flowers of two different plants but of the same kind. There are also two types of self-pollination. In autogamy, pollen is transferred to the stigma of the same flower. In geitonogamy, the pollen is transferred from the anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower on the same flowering plant, or from microsporangium to ovule within a single monoecious gymnosperm. 80% of all flowering plants are hermaphroditic, means they contain both male and female parts in the same flower, while 5% of plant species are monoecious. The remaining 15% would therefore be dioecious. Plants that self-pollinate include several types of orchids and sunflower. Dandelions are also capable of self-pollination as well as cross-pollination. Pollinator range from physical agents, especially the wind. The wind pollination is called anemophily, or biotic agents such as the insect, birds and bat and other animals. Pollination by insect is called entomophily. By birds, ornithophily. By bats, chiropterophily. Water pollination is called hydrophily, where pollen is distributed by the flow of water, particularly in rivers and streams. Water pollinated plants have a mucilaginous covering on pollen grains for protection. Pollination by water occurs in a selected number of plants, for example, Vallisneria, Hydrilla, Jostrera, seagrasses. Vallisneria pollen grains are released on the surface of the water, which are passively carried away by water currents. Some of them eventually reach the female flower. This is called the epihydrophily. Epihydrophily is a pseudo-hydrophily that occurs on the surface of the water. Hydrophily occurs when pollination occurs beneath the water surface. Pollen grains sink into the water and come into contact with the stigma, resulting in pollination underwater. Birds and bees are nectar consuming. Coconut is pollinated by water. Each pollen grain is a minute body of varying shape and structure formed in the male structures of seed-bearing plants and transported by various means, wind, water, insect, to the female structures where fertilization occurs. In angiosperm, pollen is produced by the anther of the stamens in flowers. Pollen grains are also known as a microspores. Stigma is the female part of the flower. It is the sticky bulb in the center of flowers and is the part where the pollen lands and start the fertilization process. The stigma is the receptive tip of a carpel or of several fused carpels in the gynoecium of the flower. The role of gardener, farmer plays an important role but should never interfere in natural processes that are responsible for natural vegetation, plantation and flowering. We do research, preserve seeds, do many kinds of business. Overall basis, natural vegetation and their products. Generally in schooling and in higher classes, we do study for examination purpose, and later on we do research and do some extraordinary work. Every student should know the basic fundamentals that are really needed nowadays. The motive of discussion is to emphasis on the importance of birds, animals, and insects, which are playing a very important role in our ecosystem in designing our vegetative part of the earth. That is very important for the life, that is very important for the oxygen, they are very important for the propagation of the plant, they are very important for increasing the vegetation that is necessary for life. The basics fundamentals should not be part of examination. Every student or everyone should aware of these things, how birds, plants, animals, insects are important for our ecosystem, for vegetation. We think about always for our earning, our survival. For that we are not taking care of nature very well. We are only exploiting our nature for our benefits. Students go in higher classes, forgets all these basic busy in job and another thing. They should not forget these fundamentals on which future life of earth depends and can only be possible. If we will provide food, water to birds, animals and plants, they will never harm our crops. It is well known that human mind is more developed than the animal minds. I am observing nature from last 5 to 6 years, constantly observing small birds and animals, especially peacock. They are eating and drinking disturbs when some noise or sound occur at sudden they fly. They also get affected by each other when they saw. If I will give more attention to some specific bird, like if I give always more attention to peacock, then crow and other bird felt bad. Even when I care plant, do watering, then they also realize I'm not giving attention to them. One day I was giving water to plants that are placed in corner. Birds came there and started to drink water on surface. They are very particular for timings and also get tuned very much with the new things in few days. Our thoughts, care, emotions reaches to them. If I got up late due to some reason, then birds came near to my window and start chirping and they want I should open window. They like to eat food. They like take too much. Their taste buds also matches with the human. Crow don't like kaddu. They started to eliminate some vegetables when they don't like to eat. Even when I go outside, they came near to my car and started chirping, and bird sits on my car side mirror. They like if we will spend some time with them. When peacock happy, then start dancing. They make beautiful noise at particular time. They are not for looking food. They are herbivores, carnivores. Several things are present for their eating, but it is our serving. That's why they are eating. They like our company, not they are coming for the food. If they are happy, if regularly they are getting at a right time food, then there is a no need for them to look food here and there. The human generally think birds, animals will make place dirty and spoil our vegetation, but I think this is not very important. This is very a small part. If every person provides some part of food to them, they will be good friend of us and our ecosystem, and they are very important for us for coming generation. We should come out from bookish things and apply things practically at individual level. The small things can become big things in future. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. अद्दू पसंद नहीं है.